Thank you. Any apologies for absence?
Yes, Councillor Steve Pickering, Chair.
Thank you. Minutes of the last meeting.
Sorry, Chair, you've missed declarations of interest.
Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest?
So on screen. Sally Martin, can you confirm that the meeting has now started?
Forgot about that. Thank you, Martin. Is there any declarations of interest? No. Thank you. Minutes of the last meeting then. Got those in front of us. I'm happy to move now.
Chair.
All in favour? Thank you. Medium-term financial plan, revised budgets. Pat, are you going to?
Yes. This is a revision of the 23-24 budget that was approved by the council last January. Revisions will be approved by the council as part of the budget monitoring process with the medium-term financial plan in January. You will recall the incredibly high inflationary pressures that had to be absorbed into the general budget last January. And as a result, the shortfall, 748,000, was funded from resilient reserves. Although the revised budget review, the call on reserves has now reduced from 425,000 to 331,000. And I do expect that we will identify further savings during the remainder of the year to reduce the call on reserve further. Table 1 in the report shows the main variances. The key ones to note are the higher than budgeted pay settlements and the increase in pension costs. We'll also note the increased costs of temporary accommodation, a trend which is mirrored nationally, and lower than forecast planning fees. Increased income has been generated in leisure services, and there's been a reduction in utility costs, which have begun to fall from last year's high level. There are no major changes to the income and the HRA budgets. However, there has been a need to increase the management fee paid to Ragnall Homes, who have been experiencing similar external pressures to their budgets as ourselves, and have also been managing financial burden of the rigorous demands on the impending social housing regulations. The capital programme, as detailed in Appendix 4, which includes rollovers from last year's approved by the council in July. I would like to move the recommendations in 1A, 1B and 1C, Chair.
I'll take that. Any questions on the revised budget? Oh, thank you, Pat. Any you want to say, Jamie? Happy?
No, thank you. I'm happy. Thank you.
Right. So are we all happy with those recommendations? Yeah, thank you. That's great. The next one is the council plan objectives and update April to September that I've got. As we said, we've got the new council plan that we've all got the things for, and there's within that there's obviously the 4 whatever segments would you call them? A great place that cares for the environment, a great place to work, a great place to live well, and a great place to access good public services. And we are developing, I think, so we're leading a new way to monitor that, to monitor progress on those. And we've come up with these. I believe you've took most of these to scrutiny committees the last week or so, except communities, I think, because that council. How did that go, really? And did it go well, Lee? Or
Yeah, that's on screen.
I can feedback.
Oh, it's kept on screen.
That's on screen, yeah.
Sorry,
Yes, I
didn't
can
realise,
feedback. No worries. Feedback from scrutiny was largely positive. Some particularly like getting the additional information. They like the fact there's a lot more scope and breadth. they were able to generate more of a discussion around some of the things that are in there and then ask questions as well. So I think it's a positive start. We're at the beginning of that journey, obviously, but I think it gives them more scope, and it will help them with their reviews, because it can feed into some of the work that they're doing. So largely positive. So it was very interactive sessions with scrutiny members.
Right, thanks, Kat. I was just looking at 2.2 in the report where it says it's a new way of reporting progress against the council plan, and it will evolve over time.
Yeah.
This approach is wider and more comprehensive, seeking contributions from all departments and across the performance framework. So it is a new way of sort of doing it, which I think it will evolve. I think there is quite a lot of words in some of this, and it's trying to hone in on the
Yeah.
most important bits. But I like it, and I like to say it does relate to what we've set up, and it's trying to, what's the word, dovetail it all together
Cheers.
going forward. Lee.
Yeah, just to add to that, Chair, if I can, and what Kath's just said, I was at one of those scrutiny meetings, involved in one recently where this has been presented. And I think the thing that stand out for me, and I think that members will appreciate, is that there's a direct link from those words, right the way back, like you've just said, to the council plan. And in essence, if you're going to measure our performance, then surely it's against the business plan at council for that 4-year term. So you were right in what you said. It is evolving, and like the report says, this is evolving. And we did say that at the scrutiny meetings as well, that there's a period of refinement that we're going through, and that'll become even clearer in terms of how that links. So I think overall, if you were going to make an assessment of how effective this is, surely if you've got a performance management system and framework that accurately and easily directs you straight back to what you said in the beginning in terms of what you're going to try and do and measures against that, I don't think you can ask for much more personally. So I think it's definitely going in the right direction.
That's great. Thank Kathy, you want to say anything else? And I know it is a good report, and I'm more than happy with that. So I'd like to move the recommendation that we note the progress against the council plan and the objectives be noted. Okay, are we all in favour of that?
The seconder?
I'll second it, Chair.
Thank you. That's great. Great. The next one, planning policy annual monitoring reports. This is Steve's name on it, but see, David, are you?
Yeah, I'm happy to provide a summary, Chair. That's fine. So the report essentially summarises the planning policy position. It actually covers the last financial year. So this report covers April 22 to March 23. And effectively one of the recommendations is to authorise publication. We're required by statute basically to publish this annual monitoring report. All councils are under the same obligation. The actual report itself, the actual monitoring report, is obviously a very detailed document. I think in terms of some of the highlights, it's split between the authority monitoring report, the brownfield land register, and then there's also the infrastructure funding statement. So I'm not going to go through them all in great detail, but I think to highlight some of the key things that are considered in the cover report. Overall, the council's monitoring framework, which obviously seeks to measure each of the local plan policies and how they're performing. Overall, the judgment is that we're performing well. There are some areas of weakness, and one of them that is highlighted is the lack of employment land take-up on strategic sites. But as the report makes clear, we're only partway through the local plan period, which is started in 2014, runs for 20 years. So essentially it's something to monitor. The key thing at 2.4 in the report, and this is something that we've talked about at Cabinet before, is 5-year housing land supply. And we know the position in relation to that, where it's likely to fall off on the trajectory. clearly this is one of the key areas that the local plan working group are looking at. And in terms of reviewing our evidence base, that's obviously a key element. So I wasn't really going to highlight anything else, Chair. Like I say, it's a very long report. The infrastructure funding statement goes into essentially where we're spending Section 106 monies. I'm happy to answer any questions on it, but in terms of the recommendation, it's basically to note the contents and authorised publication on the council's website.
Thank you, David. I'm just skimming through it, I reckon up to 120 pages actually in the policy or wherever it is itself.
Yeah, Helen and the team are busy.
There is a lot of real good information in there. Like you say, will that be on the, I think on the website, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
so
want to print it up and then I realise how many pages.
yeah, I mean it is really detailed, and essentially it's the monitoring of the local plan, like you're producing local plan.
No, the local plan working group or to,
They've already seen, yes, they've seen sites of this document. And clearly it's all really about our evidence base, and the areas that we need to be working on and constantly monitoring, essentially. Yeah.
lots of work gone into that, I'd say.
Yeah, Helen and team have done a good job there.
Yeah, you should have took credit for that, David.
Under David.
I've done all that, should have said. But yeah, that's fine then. So I'll move, the recommendation is to note that annual monitoring report.
I'll second that, Chair.
Are we happy to note that?
Yep.
Thank you. Good work. Really good.
So that'll be on
Lots
the,
of information in that.
yes, that'll be on the website over the next few days, Chair.
Yeah, that's great. The next one is, this is even better. South Yorkshire Combined Authority Statement of Common Ground.
Yeah, so shorter report. But this is really about the duty to cooperate, which all councils are required to demonstrate as part of the plan making process. And a key way of demonstrating that is through statements of common ground on strategic planning issues. So clearly here we've got the South Yorkshire Region Combined Authority Statement of Common Ground, and North East Derbyshire, like most of the Derbyshire authorities, we're a non-constituent member of the combined authority. So again, just to pick out some of the issues in the report, it covers most strategic planning matters listed at section 2.2. I think a couple of things to pick out in relation to energy and climate change. The draft statement commits councils to working towards carbon neutrality by 2050. And just to emphasise that entirely aligns with the climate change strategy that we as a district council have. In terms of housing, as it's set out at 2.5, basically says that council should be looking to plan for housing need within their own area, and a commitment to ensure that basically plans across the region have regard to the regional housing requirement within that. But it's clearly a local plan for our district is for us to determine. Our housing market area includes Bolsover, Chesterfield and Bassetlaw. So in terms of our own local plan evidence base, we'll primarily be working within that housing market area. But this is effectively about setting a strategic document in which we agree to certain principles, but they are very much high level principles. It's not about the detail of what a North East Derbyshire local plan would look like. But it is an important document, as I say, in that process of demonstrating that we have had regard to wider issues. Obviously, a lot of planning issues don't stop at boundaries. So really, within that vein, the recommendation is to, note the contents, and then we would also be a signatory to this document, so to approve the signing of it by the portfolio holder. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, David. Yeah, again, there's a lot in there. And again, all these things, we all have to sign up to this, don't we?
Yeah, so all of
We'll put a signature to it that we're all.
Yeah, so the South Yorkshire Combined Authority themselves are effectively coordinating it.
Yeah.
The objective is that all of the constituent and non-constituent members sign it. I think there had been some question marks posed by highway works affecting the Peak National Park, but wording's been revised to I mean, obviously that's a bit peripheral to us, but wording's being revised to make sure hopefully that they do sign it. Like I say, the weakness for us if we don't sign a document like this is that we struggle to demonstrate, you know, that we have cooperated at that strategic level. So that hence the recommendation. But I would stress this is not about setting direction for our local plan policy.
No.
And you know, in terms of environment, employment, land, housing, land, it says, you know, each area plans for its own need. Well, that's a pretty basic concept. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Do you say anything, you know, with the Combined Authority and the Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire mainly? Will this evolve or will this stay? Because I'm just looking at lists, there's Barnsley and Bassett and quite a lot of Doncaster, Rotherham.
This will
not
remain.
in the mayor.
This will remain because this is trying not to take account of boundaries politically. This is more about
Right.
the housing market area.
Yeah,
So if you're looking at it and didn't involve any boundaries or politics,
yeah,
you'd say, right, there's a million houses going up there. We need to be mindful of that because overall, in terms of our area, what's the right thing to do? So this remains, unless David's got any other, this remains irrespective
So
of
the
the
overlap,
combined authority.
basically.
Yeah.
it'd be quite common for us to enter into more than one statement of common ground. So
Yeah.
there will probably be an East Midlands.
Yeah, that's what I
statement.
wondered. There's nothing really south. You know, when you look at that list where there's not.
Not in this one, no. This one has been organised by South Yorkshire Combined Authority, so it's very much focused on that. But in terms of those strategic matters, you know, particularly the north of the district, there's obviously pressures in
Yeah.
terms of, you know, Sheffield's economy that do impact on us in terms of, you know, commuting patterns, housing need, demand, etc. So it's just in recognition of that.
That's
And
great.
likewise, there will be other things, but as I say, it's not unusual to have more than one statement of common ground,
No.
and they will all be quite high level like this.
That's lovely. Thank you. And like you say, I'm happy to sign it, or Steve will sign it on our behalf. So I think the recommendation is to endorse the content.
Yeah.
And to authorise the portfolio holder to sign it on our behalf. Are we all in favour of that?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good, thank you. And again, well done. Lot in that. And where we are, urgent items. I've got no urgent items. So now we move to the exclusion of the public. And I'll move that the public be excluded from the meeting during the discussion of the following items of business to avoid the disclosure to them of exempt information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972, as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Variance Order 2006. The category of exempt information is stated after each item. Is that all right, Alan?
Yeah, members content with that? Okay, Martin, could you confirm that the stream has now ended?